Sorry about that, guys. I'm just going to do it on my phone now because my camera keeps glitching and it says memory card full, even though it's only recorded like 20 minutes. So that's not something I'm going to be doing anymore. I may be later. I don't know. But yeah. So as I was saying about the males, they don't smell like poop. They smell more like a musky gym, like someone who's worked out a lot. They just sit and stink, but they're not in a mean way. It's a very cute way. They're like dogs or babies. They're just kind of lazy. Maybe more like cats than dogs then, but you know. They're very cute. I think so. They love cuddling and sleeping and being cute. The females, on the other hand, are always full of energy, even as old ladies. They like to run, they like to jump, they're very curious. They're always trying to explore. They want to play all the time. 2 in the morning, they don't care, they're playing. Mine are getting to sleep a little more as they get older. But originally they were like, no sleep, play, 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 play. And they would play nonstop for like ever. And then pass out. Like they would play until they passed out. They were crazy about playing. They're full of energy, very energetic. I chose females simply because I didn't want to deal with big balls. As a little kid, I was like, ew, they're gross. They're gross. Ew. And so I got females. And well, I don't regret it. They're sweethearts. I really love them. I've heard a lot about males. I've had males for a little bit. My former roommates, up and left. I mentioned that before. Up and left one day. Left all his males and his cat. Cat was Remy. So now I have Remy from my roommate. I wasn't about to leave him. Up and left. I could not afford rent on my own. I completely drowned my entire savings into that apartment trying to keep it running. No word from him for months. I was completely bankrupt by that point. Had no money whatsoever. No one was willing to lend me money. I had no way to pay rent. I had to leave. So I took his cat and his rats with me. I wasn't about to leave them there. With all the AC and everything's probably going to get shut off. So I wasn't about to leave them there. I told him I'm leaving, I'm taking your rats, blah, 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 everything else. Still no response. Like 2 months after I moved, he mentioned, he was like, what the fuck? Why'd you move? And I'm like, I've been telling you, like, every week leading up to this, that, you know, money's going tight, blah, blah, blah. I can't afford to do it on my own. You're no call, no show. He said he was visiting his girlfriend and then just never came back. And threw a big fit because he was just like, well, where's all my stuff? And I'm like, look, I can't fit your bed, your mattress, your futon. I can't fit all that in my tiny little car. I couldn't even bring all of my stuff. It was like, I had to move out this day or we will be kicked out. Like, I waited to the last possible day to do it. Because I was hoping he would come back, but he never did. So now lately he's... Not lately, but apparently he has been complaining on Facebook. About, I stole his animals, how dare I, I'm a thief, blah, blah, blah. But he hasn't asked for them back. He still won't contact me, so... They're my babies. But, the rats now have a loving home, in case you're wondering. With my good friend, Jasper. I have not checked up on how well they're doing, but I'm sure they're spoiled rotten. He's like me, he would spoil everything. So I'm sure they're spoiled rotten. But they were very mean when I first got them. They were snapping, they were biting, they hated my guts. Which is very frightening for some rat owners, which I'm sure you may encounter that if you're trying to adopt rats. But they were very, very mean, and that's just simply because they weren't played with, and they hadn't eaten in weeks. I found that out. They hadn't eaten in weeks. So of course they're going to be biting everything they can see. I constantly gave him attention, try to hold him every day, and do anything like that. And that's an important thing too. Try to hold your rats every day. I mean, as I said, some rats don't want to be touched. That's okay. But at least give them attention. Sit by their cage and be like, hello, how are you? You know, talk to them. Do the little baby voice. They like that. Sneeze. They like sneezes. So you go sneeze and they'll sneeze back. Or I go, and they'll be like they like those, they like weird noises like that because they're like, you're trying to talk to us. And because it sounds similar to their little squeaks. Because that's another thing. Rats don't really squeak. They go They make like weird noises. They do a lot of sneezes mostly. They're very quiet animals. A lot of sneezes and then like... No, it mostly just sneezes and little like nose twitches and sniffs. If it sneezes and sniffs, that's basically their thing. They don't squeak. So they like the weird noises that you make. So they're just like, oh, you're trying to sound like us. Ooh. So if you sneeze or like can wiggle your nose, they'd probably love that. But yeah, you give them a lot of time, give them a lot of your scent. I put a hat I had in their cage. They warmed up to me really fast. But, you know, it's not too hard to warm up a rat. They're usually very, very friendly. They want to be friendly. The males in my experience, that's the word I was looking for. They love to be held. Again, that may not be true for every male. So basically, every pet's different. That's the most thing you need to know. But rats are not as difficult to care for as you would think. Big thing I've learned they love, tissues. Those smaller tissue boxes, not the long ones, but like the squares. I may take a few tissues out, and I put the tissue box in there. They run over, they're pulling the tissues out, they're playing with it, and they usually pull out half, maybe a little, maybe all, and then they cuddle in the box. But then they'll bring the tissues in, like bring them as warmth, like a blanket. They love tissues. So a lot of times, before the tissues are all gone before the boxes, so I give them more, I like have another extra box, I give them more tissues daily or so. I'd say daily, it's probably about weekly. And it's just every time I change their cage, I have to get out the dirty tissues. So you could do it where you get a new tissue box every day. But again, they're very big on smell, as I said. So don't try to get rid of their smell too fast. Don't try to be like all this scents and everything all around them. It's a little overwhelming to them. I got specialized bedding here that is lavender. I also had one that was storm. But what they are is, you can't really smell them. I can't smell them. But anytime the animal pees or so, tiny little scent comes through and you're like, oh, lavender. Which means now you know your animal peed. But it's not too strong because they haven't had any issues yet. Some rats have asthma issues. I haven't had any that have asthma issues. So they're just like, oh, they don't seem bothered by it. I actually had one that rolled around in it like she loved the scent. So, but they're big on scent. So they may be maybe too much for it, maybe too little. You find your balance with the rat. Right now they're grooming each other. It's very cute. If I can get them to keep doing it. Hi. Go back to grooming. Pretend I'm not here. Pretend I'm not here. Say hi. It's hard to do that with the front-facing camera. I wish mid-recording I could switch what camera it was in, but I can't. But they're very much all about cuddling and things like that, and they're definitely social animals. You definitely have to have at least 2 of them. Now, what's highly recommended, you give them at least an hour playtime, especially the girls, outside of their cage every day. Now, it's not the end of the world if you cannot provide that. I, for one, cannot provide that all the time because I'm working and I have cats and I just don't want to risk, them being outside of their cage so much. But that also makes it harder for them to get back in because they're like, I don't want to go back in. I'm having fun. But they love to explore, as I said. So a new area especially, they want to go everywhere. Now, some important things to remember when you have a free roaming rat. Be very careful about hiding spots. It's one thing I learned. If there is a nook or cranny, they will find it. Rats are very good at finding all your hidden stuff. I'm trying to hook up my laptop, so I'm uploading part 1 and part 2 as we speak. That's my goal. Let's see if I can do this. as we speak. But, they will find every spot that you didn't possibly think of. Under my cabinets, apparently there's a tiny little spot they could squeeze through. They're like ferrets or any other rodent. They're very good at hiding. Now, as I said, they're very quiet too, so you're like, hello. But most of them, they learn their name very fast. They're very good with names. Like, I'll go Java, and she's like, me? Yes, me? What? They're very good with names and learning tricks, and they're very smart animals. There's a reason, you know, people tend to a lot of experiments on rats, even outside of the psychology field. And I'm not saying those are humane. I'm sure a lot of them might be, but most of them are typically not. But that doesn't mean they're not smart animals. There's a reason they were chosen. Now, rats have been known to overpower a cat in the wild. Like, if there's one cat in a group of rats, they can win, which is surprising for a lot of things. So they're strong, too. But a lot of people, they see the teeth and they freak out thinking it's going to bite them. Now, rats can bite, but it hurts them to do so. Especially the smaller ones. They basically, their jaw does not move as easily as you would think. It can move very far enough to bite you, but it takes a lot of energy to do it, and it really hurts their muscles. And their teeth are also not as strong as you would think. Like, they're strong enough to hurt you, yes, but they kind of get yellow. They're very weak teeth, so they can hurt you, but it would hurt them too. So it's kind of like they usually will just back up, keep backing up. They may do a playful bite, which is like a gumming basically, or they may bite like very, very lightly and then look at you like it's kind of warning you, I don't want to bite you, please don't touch me. It's a good sign to know. Some rats, that's a playful thing. They're like, num num, num num. I'm a dork here, but some rats just like to nibble on your fingers. As if you let them, of course. Some rats just like to bite on them. I don't know. They don't do it hard. That's a soft bite. And again, that's a personality thing. It was a different necklace I was wearing, but Princess Peachy Boo, she loves to chew on my necklace. It's her new favorite thing. She's just like, it's cute. As long as you don't care, of course. If you care, then you can train them to not to do that. So I said, they're very smart animals. They're not too difficult to take care of. One thing, do not feed them hamster food. Cannot stress that enough. It is a very common practice to feed them hamster food. Hamster gerbil food, because it looks about the same. It's usually cheaper. You know, they do not like, I mean, they like it okay, but it's not good for them. And it's not bad for them. It just doesn't give them the proper nutrients that they need to live. So it's not like poison, but they can die from not having enough nutrients and stuff easily, and get sick very easily. So be very careful about that, because, you know, you don't want your rat to be sick, obviously. No. So do not give them gerbil or hamster or anything like that, no. Now, another thing people mess up and do is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out what my computer's doing here. Settings, maybe? I just want to go computer. That one. Okay, but, they feed them the rat blocks, is what I like to call them. I think I have a few here for a sample to show what they are. Do not feed them rat blocks. It is the most common food they sell. People swear by it. It's so good for them, blah, blah, blah. This is not as bad as them, but they're a block. They're a pellet. They're usually a lot bigger than that, and they don't like them very much. They're like, oh, it does have a lot of nutrients, but they just don't like the taste of them, and I can't blame them. I mean, it's just literally a block of food. Would you want to just have a block of food? No, you'd want, like, different types of food, obviously. So you can get them the blocks, but make sure to mix it with other foods. I actually get a rat food from the Petco. The cheaper one there, not too fancy. But it is... It's not too expensive. It's usually $10 for a big thing of it. And you can mix it with other... I mean, you can mix it with other foods. You can mix it with the blocks if you want to. Because the blocks are nutritious. And they do need to chew. But you can also get them chew toys. For when I mix the blocks, usually I may get like a box of them. Because they come pretty small boxes. And I may get like a giant, like a 10-pound bag of food and mix like one box in there with it. Give or take, you know, maybe 2 10-pound bags of food. So they wouldn't get much, but just 1 or 2 pieces, you know, they eat those. It's good for them. They just need more than that or else they won't eat it. You know, they're picky. At least mine are. They'll be like, that's all you're giving us? I'm not going to eat. Or they'll only eat the treats. And the treats is another important thing I forgot to mention there. Rats constantly need treats. It is very good for them. I don't mean constantly, but treats are good for them. Vegetables, fruits. They can pretty much eat anything. They like bread. They like pasta. They like rice. They like everything. My rats will eat anything. They like shrimp. They like fish sticks. The only thing is to be a little careful. Don't give them too much fried food, obviously. Their favorite food is yogurt. They also love applesauce. They love applesauce. Baby food is a really good idea for rats because it's usually pretty good for them. Things like that. But the only thing is do not feed them mangoes. Mangoes, papayas... Basically anything orange is a good way to remember it. Mostly just mangoes. Females, there's not really much issue with it at all. I haven't heard any female get sick. But I'd be a little weary. Males, it can give them prostate cancer. Which of course is not something you want to aim for your little rat to have. So I just never even bothered buying them. I didn't want to risk them getting sick for my girls. And, I mean, I can't eat mango anyway. I'm allergic. So why would I even want it in my house? But they pretty much eat anything. Cat food, dog food. Java, anytime she's out of her cage, she like races to the cat food and starts digging in. And it's like, you have all these treats, all this food. Why do you want the cat food? Cat food's very fatty. I think that's what it is. But basically, it's nice to give them treats. Don't make it their like 90% of their meal, obviously. The main part of their meal should be the food. But I'm too good for them all the time. I give them a lot of treats. More than I should, I'm sure. And they're very fat for it. As you notice, they're very fat. In the winter, they're also typically more fat. Because they bulk up as if they need to hibernate. Certain species, some species of rats don't. And a lot of rats are all sold all one big thing. You can't tell what their species is unless you know a lot about rats. Java is a Norwegian rat. While Chai is a European rat. There's not much difference. Basically the fur type. Norwegian ones are typically more of a little bit of a wire hair to them. They look very messy. As you notice, their hair kind of looks all over the place, but it's really smooth. So it's more of are they a glossy look or are they a street rat look? And in the US, we have mostly Norwegian rats in the streets, which is why you get the whole street rat mentality, you know. There's many different types of rats. There's so many things I could teach you about rats. I love these things to death. My cats are wrestling. Okay, but it's a lot you can learn about rats, and they're very, very smart animals, very nice, very kind. Another thing, be careful with their wires in their cage. They can fit through a lot of wires. Half-inch space between them is recommended. Because basically, if they can fit their tail through it, it needs to be big enough that they either can't fit. Big enough they can get their paws through to climb, but be very careful with their tails. Mine fit their tails through the bars, and that's okay. But if you notice they start getting their tails stuck, Like maybe you can get it through at an angle and not through the other way. That's why it has to be a certain bigness to get their tail out, but not big enough that they can climb through. It's a weird thing. Basically, if they can fit their head through something, they can completely get their body through. So be careful about that. So the 1/2 inch is really what's recommended. Their wheels. So many people buy the wheels that have the little holes through them. Again, that's another big thing. I have a very specified wheel here. I don't typically go for any of the ones out of the wire, but it was a gift, and I made sure they made sure it was a good one. Now, if you look, I have a wheel here with, I hate doing this in front camera mode, but I think you can tell it's very, very small spaces between them. They can barely fit their paws through, and that's enough. Because wheels, you want them to be fully plastic, or very, very tight like this. If they can fit their tail through, it will snap. And that's not something to be, that's not an idle threat. It will snap their tail, and it will be very, very painful, and possibly make them lose the tail. Because they're spinning and running, their tail gets caught in it. As they keep spinning, you can view the picture. It's very, very gross, very nasty, very painful. Very sickening snap. I have not personally experienced it, thank you, but I don't plan to. Some people like the up and down wheels, some people like the saucer wheels, which are more like a wider, flat thing. The saucer are recommended, but they take up a lot of space. Both, I've never had a rat use them, except for one of my former rats. My former rats loved the saucer wheel. She run on all the time. These, they don't seem to touch any wheel. They're just like, why is it in my cage? I keep it around in case they may eventually use it, but they don't seem to like it much. Maybe I'll take it out for space reasons. I don't know. But in my experience, they don't typically like. They don't typically like wheels, but they might for you. I'm going to be looking at my files, see how good it recorded and stuff. Audio is a little off there, but I will figure it out. So, TF Colm signing off. Bye.